Hey, what's good, y'all? What's good? It's the Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth in the house on Sunday. Another Sunday, we're gonna get it in. We're gonna rock it in. I got a lot of stories to go over. First of all, like I always do, just want to ask, how's everybody's days going? It's a Sunday. I know it's that time. It's that time to get back ready to go back into work, to go back to school. Whatever it is that you do throughout the week, it's that time. So I know Sunday is a day where people are trying to chill, watch some games, kick back, relax, and recharge for the week that's coming up. Out here in Southern California, it was a beautiful day. I'm just gonna say it off top. It was a surprisingly warmer day than what it's been. It's been really chilly. Of course, this time is the coldest it gets out here. Let me know. Let me know if I'm sounding Tawab. That's good in Hebrew. If I'm sounding Tawab, let me know in the comments. Somebody, please. If you can hear me crisp and clear. Renee said, good, just relaxing, waiting on the Clarissa Shields fight to come on. That's right. That seemed like that's going to be a good fight. And you know what? I've been looking at Clarissa Shields. I'm like, man, you know, maybe I should try to holler. Maybe I should, sister don't look that bad. You know what I'm saying? And she can fight. I'm just kidding though, but that looked like that's going to be a crazy fight because I seen the weigh in. I seen with the other sister. She looked like she's a beast, and it's not that I've been following or anything. It's just that from her looks, she looks like she's half man, half amazing. You know what I'm saying? She looked wild, but I'm gonna assume that everything is Tawab, everything is good with the audio. Before I go forth on my side, I'm looking at the audio channels and they don't look like they really pushing out anything, but no sweat. So what I want to talk about is first story I want to talk about. Thank you, Renee. First thing I want to talk about is the movement in Philadelphia. Many people know this as the time when America dropped a bomb on Americans. That's like, if you don't know what move is, you know that it's America dropped a bomb on Black people. And so we're going to get into that story and the revelation 3 years ago that Penn University, or the museum to Penn University, still had remains from the victims. And now it has come out that they still have remains of the victim from the move incident. And so just to give a little breakdown, some back history, okay? I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So let me pull this slide up. And maybe I'll just screen share everything. Now, where do I want to start? So I'll start with some back history, and let me pull up this slide. So let me see. So this is pictured here is John Africa. He is the founder of the movement. So I'm gonna read a little bit of a little back history, and then we're gonna get some videos, and then I'll get some commentary. All right. It says on the evening of May 13th, 1985, long-standing tensions between MOVE, a Black liberation group, and the Philadelphia Police Department erupted horrifically. The night the city of Philadelphia dropped a satchel bomb, a demolition device typically used in combat. So they dropped a bomb on this organization on the house that they was living in. It was a row house in Philadelphia. Now, this house was occupied by men, women, and children. It went up in unextinguished flames. What the story is that after they dropped the bomb, instead of going in and saving people, they let the fire burn. So it ended up, hopping from home to home, and the whole block down there was burned. So 250 citizens, they were left homeless. Now, let me get a little bit more. So MOVE was a political and religious organization whose principles were anti-government, anti-technology, anti-corporation. Its creator, pictured here, John Africa, born Vincent Leapart, was a West Philadelphia native and Korean War veteran whose ideology combined Black revolutionary ideas with environmental and animal rights, as well as a back to nature movement. So they dropped a bomb on these brothers and sisters. You know, they had a different type of ideology. And let me just add this. They had a different type of stance, different ideology, anti-government, anti-technology. They wanted to go back to nature or whatnot. Y'all heard the story before. You heard the story of America dropping a bomb on Black people. Well, this is the actual story. So let me just get some video. Give me 1 second, pull this up. Was the only, her and a child were the only survivors. Let me just, because these videos won't cover that, but when the fire was raging, they were trying to come out, but when they would come out, the police officers would shoot at them. So herself and the child, who are the only survivors, got burned really bad.
Realize that we had to get our children our
second. So this sister, she did 7 years, and let me just get what came out 3 years ago. So this sister did her time. She's out. The child is now an adult. I think the child name was Birdie at the time, but I think they, you know, that was just a nickname. But you know, this was the aftermath. So, you know, now we fast forward, you know, 20 plus years later, and it came out in 2021 that the University of Penn, their museum had remains of some of the children and adults that were killed on that day. So let me grab this.
It's taken nearly 4 decades for this kind of closure. The Dotson family walks up to the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's office. Inside, the remains, bones, and fragments of Katricia and Zanetta, just 12 and 14, both killed in the 1985 MOVE bombing.
Finally getting them a resting place permanently. I can do this for them.
The remains were tucked away, some say hidden, only discovered by a staffer in the past few years. It's unclear why they were never given to the family before.
And these particular remains that are being released today were just put in a box and forgotten.
It took them 37 years to do the right thing.
The family considering legal action, while the city has faced fallout here before. Health Commissioner Thomas Farley forced to resign after the city says he ordered the disposal of those remains, an order that was refused.
The city, instead of worrying about the humanity of the victims, they were worried about themselves.
The bombing has left scars deep in Philadelphia and for the Dotsons. The girls will be buried in North Carolina, far from the row home where they burned to death. Their brother says he's gotten no apology from the city until today. Did they apologize?
The medical examiner herself, yes, she did. They're acknowledging their wrongdoing. Even though she had nothing to do with it, she's apologizing on behalf of the people that came before her. So I take that, and that gives me some kind of closure. They're owning up for holding them for so long on the shelf in the box.
The city commissioned a review of what happened here, but could not determine why the remains were missing for so long. Meantime, other institutions like Penn and Princeton have also been accused of mishandling MOVE bombing remains as well. In Center City, Randy Gyllenhaal, NBC 10.
As a city council representative for both the Penn Museum and the community that endured the terrible MOVE bombing, I am pleased to be here alongside Mike Africa Jr. and other members of the Africa family and our community. First and foremost, I want to express my deepest condolences to the Africa family. I cannot begin to imagine how deeply painful and re-traumatizing these past few weeks have been for all of you. When Mike initially called me in 2021 to tell me that the Penn Museum had remains from the MOVE bombing and that the museum had been using them for decades as teaching tools and research specimens without the family or community's knowledge, frankly, I thought it was too egregious to really be true. And when I learned that this actually happened, I was sickened, I was dumbfounded, and I was enraged.
So now Penn University, they done had these remains of these brothers and sisters, and the children, and they had been doing, college studies on their heads. A lot of the bodies were returned without, the head, and no one knew about this. Now, the video I had just played was a man that was getting some remains from the state of Philadelphia, city of Philadelphia, and that was 3 years ago. Now there's a new case. Now Penn has remains also, and for a long time they have been using these remains to study and to pry and prick and use for students. And it's so unethical, and you have to think about the trauma that happened at that time, and for them to use those bodies and not return them rightfully to the families is diabolical. Okay, let me play a little bit more.
So it is absolutely unacceptable that we are back in the same situation 3 years later. The Penn Museum apologized for mishandling the MOVE remains in 2021, but talk is cheap. We need the Penn Museum to prove that they mean what they say through action and not just words. Instead, the Penn Museum continues to demonstrate a profound disrespect for Black life and Black death. When activists alerted museum leadership that the institution still possessed the remains of Delisha Africa over a year ago, the museum ignored them. There is absolutely no possible justification for the museum's barbaric treatment of a Black child's body, or their dismissive behavior towards those fighting to give Delisha some semblance of peace in death. We understand that the Penn Museum is a research institution and is used to slow, methodical studies that take years. But they need to realize that this is not an academic project. There is real trauma and pain here that needs to be taken seriously and addressed swiftly. The Africa family deserves closure, and they should have received that decades ago. The fact that we are still here holding our breath, waiting for even more remains to be discovered 3 years after this initially came to light, is a slap in the face to the Africa family and our community at large. It is past time for the Penn Museum to work in a real and authentic way with the Africa family and community to quickly review the museum's entire inventory and return Delisha's remains and any other MOVE bombing remains in the museum's possession to their family or community so that they can finally be put to rest. And most importantly, the Penn Museum needs to learn a very important lesson. In life or in death, it is never okay to use Black bodies as trophies or to enrich an institution. Thank you so much.
And let me just say this, this is a part of, like Bulls fan was saying, Henrietta Lack, the Tuskegee experiment, certain things like that. This is a part of that. This is a tradition, or should I say a pattern in Europeans that they have always, mutilated and dug up our people and did studies and research without consent from the family. I'm gonna play a little bit with this. This is the nephew of John Africa, and this needs to be heard. So I want brothers and sisters to hear this because this is heavy also.
On the move. First, I want to say thank you to Councilwoman Jamie Gauthier for her steadfast position, for her tireless work, and for this support in this and many other instances for myself and my family. Thank you. I want to say that I don't really have a long speech. I don't have a lot to say. But the things that I want to say are very important to the MOVE organization. On May 13th, 1985, when the city of Philadelphia dropped a bomb on our house, killed 11 people, 5 of them were children, and then took our house from us through eminent domain, which we're still trying to fight to get back. They stole the remains of many people. It wasn't just Tree, Katricia Dotson, Tree Africa. It wasn't just Delisha. We have documentation that says, I mean, the wording is gruesome. But I'll give you some of it so that you understand the level of harm and trauma and pain and violence that the MOVE organization have experienced at the hands of law enforcement here in Philadelphia. Some of the bodies were said to not be identifiable because, according to these reports from some of the medical examiners, they say too many heads and torsos were missing.
It's crazy.
When we uncovered some of the evidence, we learned that a Penn student by the name of Jane Weiss did a dissertation. She wrote a dissertation about Delisha, Africa. And in that dissertation is an X-ray of 12-year-old Delisha Africa's head. In 2021, when the city and Penn said they were going to do all they could to get our family members' remains back to us, they did turn over some things. But I can tell you that as the great nephew of John Africa, who was one of the bodies that was buried without a head, when they returned the remains of John Africa, they did not return his head. So we are.
You know what? I think that's about enough. I think we get the point. We definitely get the point, So after all of this, when America, and let me just say, it was the mayor at the time that basically said to drop a bomb on this row house. And as y'all saw, what I covered is that, not only did it burn that house, 250 residents of that neighborhood lost their homes also. And when these people were trying to get out of the burning home, police were shooting at them, so they couldn't get out. And so that's why it was only 2 survivors. And now you have first in 2021, it came out that, they still had some remains that were hidden away somewhere. Now, 3 years later, they have found more remains. And activists basically alerted people that Penn Museum had still had remains. And now you hear the testimony from this brother who is a nephew of a great nephew of John Africa. He's saying that he was the one that actually received, the bags and things that the bodies were in, and he received all the reports. And John Africa did not have his head, and many of the people they couldn't be identified because they didn't have their heads. So in essence, what happened is that, whoever, whether it was, the coroner, the people that had access to the bodies, decided that they would take heads, the children's heads, the adults' heads, and do studies and, do all of this type of inhumane thing and mutilation in the name of education and, science. But like I said earlier, it's unethical, it's diabolical, it's evil, It's like, it's an unimaginable that they would do. Well, not that much unimaginable, but we know from history that this is something that has, been happening since they was digging up mummies in Egypt. So this is something that they do is desecrate bodies, dehumanize Black people as if we don't deserve any respect, even in death. Okay, even in death. And it makes me think about there was a king from Ghana. They just a few years ago they returned his head. So during the colonial period, when they conquered Ghana, they beheaded the king, and they had his head in a jar somewhere in Europe somewhere. And they returned that. And there's a famous picture. I was going to show the picture, but I thought like maybe not because YouTube policies and all of that. But there's a picture with a white scientist, and he's sitting there, and the wall behind him is literally full of Maori heads. The Maori people, they're like a Polynesian, a Fiji type people, and it's full of their heads, and so this is a thing that it's a tradition within Europeans. This is a thing that is, it's a part of them to do this type of stuff to deceased Black people, because they don't see us as, worthy of that type of respect in life. So why would they see that we're worthy of that respect in death? All right. So I just want to bring that out. And these are some, I could have just talked about the move incident all by itself, but this is more current. This is very important to know that things like this still go on under the guise of higher education. All right. So shout out to everybody that's rocking with me. Bulls fan, Kyle Maz Boff, Renee Gaines, Sister Baratha Nawa. Shout out to y'all. Black Dazzle is in the house. Let me get to the next story now. Let's see.
Fatal stabbing of a Walmart employee in Rockford.
We first told you about this yesterday. Today, we heard from the family of Jason Jenkins. The lawsuit names the retailer, Brosnan Risk Consulting, and the man charged with the murder, Timothy Carter. Carter's accused of killing Jenkins at the Northridge Walmart last month. Police have said security video shows the suspect taking 2 knives off of shelves, then stabbing Jenkins in the back. Lawyers for the Jenkins family said today a racial slur was used before the stabbing. The lawsuit claims, among other things, that Walmart and Brosnan Risk Consulting failed to detain and apprehend Carter and failed to call police in a timely manner.
They didn't protect my baby. You have security there, and you didn't protect him. You didn't protect other people's babies. My child is not the only one that's in there working. You didn't even protect the people that shop there. It could have been me he could have targeted. It could have been an old lady he could have targeted.
Jenkins worked at the Walmart going on 2 years. His mom says he was set to graduate from Auburn High School this spring and was getting ready for prom.
Now, this brother was at work, 18 years old, at work, and the man that took his life, the white man that took his life, had walked around this Walmart for a while. And what it didn't say in here is that every Black person that he saw, he would give them, a mean look. He would give them an evil look. Every Black person. People wanted him to be charged for a hate crime. They're saying it is a racial incident, but he was not charged for a hate crime. You understand? Which is, we understand how that goes. If it would have been us, if the tables would turn, we would be charged with a hate crime. You got all of the reasoning to make it a hate crime because of the circumstances, but it's not. He's walking around the store. He grabs knives, and this brother is stocking boxes, and he comes behind him and he stabs him in the back. There's a witness, a woman in the store that said she heard the brother scream and he screamed out help, you know. And it's just so sad for an 18-year-old at work trying to, 18 years old, that's really big to have a job, especially as a young Black male. That's a big deal. You're able to get your money and able to, get the things that you need with your paycheck and everything. And you at work, just working, and some devil comes and stabs you in the back and takes your life. I'm bringing this story out because this actually happened, 9 months ago. So I'm bringing this story out for people to understand that, when it comes to us, especially in this heightened time with Donald Trump in office, you got to be on your P's and Q's. You're going to have to profile white people, particularly white males, who are the number one people who commit the most violent crimes. So that's my thing. Like, you're gonna have. I'm not profiling Black people and brown people. I'm profiling white males. When I'm in public, when I'm in the store, wherever I'm at, that's what I'm gonna do. And guess what? Here's the kicker: white people should profile white males across the board. I mean, like, if you in America at this time right now, with with the heightened racial tension, things like this you're going to see happen more often. My condolences to this brother's mother, his brother, his family. This is just, you can say that it's a random act of violence, but the track record of white males from the age of 18 to 60, it shows that it is something that is normal to them. And so when I go out as a Black man, I'm not really worried about, other Black people or brown people randomly attacking me based on my race, randomly pulling out a firearm and just in a Walmart, or randomly, pulling out a firearm and, just letting off in the middle of a mall. I'm not looking at a Black or brown person for that. I'm profiling Kyle. I'm profiling Tanner. I'm profiling, what's another name? You get the point. That's who I'm profiling. That's who I got an extra eye on. Because history shows, very recent history shows, you go back 10, 20 years ago, that shows that they have the most potential for violence against other races, against everybody in the vicinity. Let me go to the comments. Let me hear what y'all talking about. Black Rain 303, what's good with you? What a demonic coward. Ain't no way I would have let my son walk around leaving his back to a white person. I have a daughter, but I would not have raised a son that trusting of them. RIP to the young man. Sister Barathana made that. May he rise again. May that brother rise again. Straight buster, Black Rain. He a custer. They profile us. Hey, Kalmaz, they profile us. They profile us. Tanner, Kyle, Logan, Hunter. Yes, I'm profiling Logan, Hunter, and Chad. Y'all getting profiled. Y'all ain't good with me. Y'all are not good with me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not good with me. Like, I understand, like, our people have their issues. Black people, brown people got their issues. I understand, we're not saints. Like, we don't do nothing and we don't do crime. But what we don't do based on race is go and hurt another race just randomly. What we don't do is walk into a supermarket and look at mean mug every white person and then go grab a knife off the shelves and find somebody that has their guard down to hurt. Now, keep in point what his mother said, like, you got everything else locked up, but you don't got knives locked up. I think those type of things need to be locked up now. You got the drink locked up. You got, you got underwear locked up. You know what I mean? You got paint locked up. but you don't got weapons, killing weapons that you can kill with locked up. Why don't you wait until, why don't, like what did I go to Walmart for? I got something. I'm trying to remember where they literally walked me with it to the counter. I'm trying to think what it was. It was something out of the sewing area. It could have been, what was it? I got something. Oh, I got some vinyl. I had got some heat press vinyl and it's locked up. Heat press vinyl, if you don't know, if you're making some shirts, they that's the stuff you use with. They took it out and walked me with it to the register. Didn't hand it to me, walked in and handed, like, come, like, pick your poison, Walmart. Bulls fan said, our issues usually based on our personal economics. They just be deleting black folk when they be rich or poor. Man, you brought out a good point. They could just be having a bad day. They could have just got fired from their job. They could have been turned down by the dream girl that they wanted. And she said no. Like they have, I've heard this. He didn't have a father at home. All of these things, Black people have been through so much. These things are minuscule and small to us. We do not lose our noodles because, we were rejected by some girl, or because we don't. Black and brown people don't have father. A lot of them don't have a father in the home, but you never see them doing this. You never see them doing this. And what does it always go back to when they do it? Oh, he had mental illness. He was dealing with a lot in his life. He had a rough life. Well, Black and brown people have the roughest life, and they don't act like that. We got the roughest life, and you don't see us acting a damn fool like that. Yes, we have our issues with each other, but from a standpoint where we just said, you know what? F it. I'm finna go to a public place, and I'm about to unalive everyone. We don't do that. That's not even our character. That's not our spirit. We don't do that. You know what I mean? We take things out and frustration out on one another. Yes. We commit crime against one another. Yes. But every race does that. But what about when it's, white on everybody crime, not just white on white crime, but it don't matter. It's indiscriminate. That don't happen with us. You know what I mean? And so just to close out, I'm profiling Kyle. I'm profiling Chad. It was a few years ago. I was working with this white guy, and he and rightfully so, I suspected what I suspected, because the way he was is, first of all, he had a bad hygiene. He would wear the black boots with the tight black jeans. He wear the shirt with like Satan or something on it, with the Satan beanie. And then, he got let go. And while everybody having a good time and, talking about him and all that, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, y'all better be on your P's and Q's, because he's the type that look like he might go postal. He the type that look like he might come back. You know what I'm saying? But I won't be a victim, though. He the type. So you have to be circumspect in situations and not have your guard down. No matter if you at the beach, at the mall, at what is the places, amusement park, man, I'm profiling Kyle and Tanner and Chad, hands down. I'm not worried about no black person or brown person doing anything crazy like that. I'm looking at you. And just to lay it all flat, because I know what they're going to say. White people should profile white people if you want to be safe. That's what you should do too, white people. Profile white people. Profile them. Hunter. Yeah, you better watch out for Hunter, because he's on the prowl. I'm profiling y'all. Let me get this next story. Now, there's really no video for this. Now, Donald Trump came out. We have those. What happened? There's been like 2 airplane crashes, 2 big ones. One in Washington, D.C., another one in Philadelphia. Donald Trump came right out with the, blaming DEI. And I want to talk a bit about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right. The same way you look at me, Renee. So when it comes to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion is basically just a play, or it's born out of affirmative action. Now, affirmative action started around the 60s, and then it was written into law, I believe, by one of the presidents, Lyndon B. Johnson or something like that, affirmative action. And you had also, the Equal Opportunity Act. These things basically guaranteed people of color, people of minorities, equal access, regardless of anything, to be able to have employment and be able to compete and be in spaces that normally they were not in. So DEI, y'all know what diversity is, just having, a diverse workplace, you have all different type of people. Well, it wasn't always like that. Usually the jobs would be, mostly all white men. So recently you have a lot of people freaking out because of the blocks that Donald Trump has put on DEI and how he's going after DEI programs, cutting these programs, taking the funding away from these programs to go to things where the money is not being wasted. They're saying a lot of money is being wasted in these DEI initiatives, training for jobs and stuff like that. And so a lot of people feel as though Black people felt like, this is crazy. What are we going to do? Well, really, the number one people that benefited from DEI was white women. But it's like whenever you say DEI now, it's almost like people automatically think that it's about Black people, when Black people are the last people to benefit from DEI statistically. So when you go into history, you see that, inclusion, DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, that, first of all, it was just white men, and white women wasn't in there. They wasn't in those boardrooms. They wasn't CEOs. And then they started to be CEOs and started to be in those boardrooms and call the shots and be judges and be there and be here. And so they are the number one people who have benefited from DEI. When you look at the college, I think it was 3 years ago, they took affirmative action out of the college admissions. They wanted people to be able to get into college based on merit and not because you were Black or anything. Well, a lot of people thought it was Black people that was benefiting the most, when in reality, it was Asians that were benefiting the most from these affirmative action initiatives to get into these colleges, And so my thing is this. Let me see. Bushman said, DEI, affirmative action, EEOC, all means where the white women at, because the white man ain't trying to put competition in his own path. Right. Black Rain said, con, things like that are never really for us. It is a con for everybody else. That's true, brother. That's true. Renee Gay said, DEI actually doesn't really apply to use, considering that the Blacks are at the bottom of the list. The LGBTQ, whatever they are, were above us on the DEI. See, like, it's for everybody else except us, And so this is the thing about DEI, affirmative action, and all of these things, these programs that they implement. These programs are really them fighting themselves. Like, they're fighting themselves in order to give, quote unquote, minorities a chance, a fair shot to compete in the workplace, to compete in, education, to be, granted to go to a school of higher education. They're fighting against their natural self, where their natural self doesn't want anybody that doesn't look like them to be in the same spaces. Their natural self doesn't want or can't cope with competition from Black and brown people. So when they come with these initiatives, and this, you can go all the way back to abolition, you have a small percentage of them that are saying, no, this is not right. No, this is not fair. You shouldn't have these people in slavery. And then you have the greater amount of them saying that we should. When it comes to civil rights, integration, DEI, affirmative action, you have a small minority group saying, no, this isn't right. We need to give them a fair shot. So they have to make laws against their own natural self. They make laws against themselves, and they're constantly at a struggle and fighting, when in reality, they've been benefiting from the laws that they have put in place that's supposed to help minority groups, Black people, you know, which is crazy. Now, I'll give you like what I think when I was growing up, I benefited from the idea of a program helping me. So when I was young, from between the ages of about 15 to 18, what I saw as a young Black male is that a lot of brothers didn't have jobs. A lot of the sisters had jobs in high school. They had jobs, and what I would do is I would really go hard applying to jobs and trying to get a job. And what ended up happening is I got through a government program, summer program through Parks and Recreation Department. I got, a summer job. I got my first job. My first 3 jobs was through initiatives or money set aside for inner city low income children to have summer jobs. Without that, I wouldn't have had a job, because I had applied I had a list, and I had applied to, like, one year it was around, I like to say 100, but I think it really was about 80 different jobs, places. And I didn't get no job. And I used to say to myself, well, I started to question myself, like, how will I ever get a job? How would I ever get experience if they don't allow me to work at any job? I've never had a job, So I went through this dilemma in my head of like, how can I get a job, but I can't get in the door? Well, the first time I got my few jobs during the summertime, because I was in school, was through a summer job program. So if it wasn't for no program, my first jobs, I wouldn't even never got no job. You know what I mean? I say that to say is like, it's only because of some of them that feel like our treatment is unfair that these type of programs exist. Their true nature is to say, you know what, even though we have a 500-year head start on you, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Work a little harder. Stop making excuses. Stop complaining. Stop being lazy. And so, in essence, DEI those type of programs, affirmative action, these are things that they have created that goes against their true nature, because their true nature is not that they really want to help us, and they don't want to help us to a level where we're neck and neck and now we're competition. That's something that they don't want to do. So they have to show that, listen, this is I know this country is built on the American dream, the big melting pot, and we have to show it. So we have to make these programs, and we have to make people see that we are doing things for the people that are less fortunate and have less resources. And so that we can say, look, you had something, you have a fair chance, just like we do. What's your thoughts, man? What's your thoughts? Give me your thoughts on that. DEI is them going against themselves and trying to look a certain kind of way when really they don't want to help nobody. They don't want to have to compete. Like, if everybody was put on a level playing field, let's just be real. If Black people was put on a level playing field, because we already done closed some of the gaps. If we was put on a level playing field, we would surpass everyone. But you know that ain't gonna never happen in another man's nation. That will never happen. All right. Let me see where I want to go. Exactly. Thank you, Bulls fan. That's white savior complex. White savior complex. Speaking to that white savior complex, you know, it's like you know the thing they say this, they say you know, if it wasn't for the fact that you was brought here in slavery, you know, you would be living a messed up life somewhere in Africa. You would still be in a mud hut in Africa. So it's a good thing that we brought you over here in slavery. Or they say this one, this is another one. They say it, like, especially with the things we talk about, they say, well, why are you bringing up slavery? Like we freed you. Like it was white people that freed you from slavery. Because you say, well, we were in chains, and they say, well, it was white people that freed you from slavery. So what am I supposed to look at you as the hero? So in essence, that white savior complex is like, you the person that put me in a position, then you free me out of the position, then I'm supposed to look at you like the hero. It's like it's like a you know, a blockbuster movie. Like you are the villain and the hero of the movie. And you won't praise because you did something that you were supposed to do. Like I put my knee on your neck and you complain, and then I take my knee off and then I say, well, you had your knee on my neck. And you say, what? But I took my knee off of your neck. Isn't that worth something? What you need you want a cookie? You want a pat on the back? It's bullshit, like you said. It's just a way to look like they care when they only care about themselves. That's true. All of us ain't from Africa. The amount of boats and building don't track all of the people who was supposed to come here in a little bit of time. That's true also. All of us are not from Africa. Yeah, trying to get rid of that guilt. Trying to get rid of that guilt. Let me go back to this one. Yeah, all people are not from Africa. All dark-skinned people are not from Africa. What you had here was the Gadites that were here already. It's documentation, which the Gadites, which many people know as the Native American Indians, were here about 1,500 years before any European stepped foot on North and South and Central America and the West Indies. Okay. Definitely he is. Definitely is. Let me get to this is another video. It was interesting. This is a college student interviewing other college students at UNLV University about white privilege.
Privilege exists.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Why
Yes.
100%, yeah.
Because I mean the biggest thing, like when you talk about white privilege, even if you go back just like to World War II, after World War II, black soldiers who fought in World War II didn't get the GI Bill. White soldiers did. Those white soldiers used the GI Bill to buy houses and then pass that wealth down. But then on top of that, if you look, like, there are still racist people. As much as like we want to talk about, like, you know, being a post-race society, there was a lot of discussion about that. There are still racist people out there. Like, not all, just because you're white doesn't mean you automatically have an advantage, but like inherently, just based on how the country has progressed, the average white person starts off at a better starting point than the average black person. There's exceptions to every rule, but it's a sad fact in the United States.
Cooks, brother.
I think it's just inherent in the foundation of America. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Yeah, facts.
So it's always refreshing. It's always a good thing to see white people admit to the glaring truth that is right in front of your eyes. I mean, common sense about history. That like one of the things he said is that although it's not every scenario, a white person at a low stage and a black person at a low stage, that white person, statistically will have a better shot. Not all the time, but most of the time they will. There was a study that had came out about, I think it was probably like 4 years ago, where it basically said that in order for the average black family's net worth to reach that of the average white family's net worth, it would take 228 years. And now we live in a matrix, or we live in a world where many people will say, okay, y'all making excuses, but they don't see the real reality of how hard it is to succeed. What they see is Oprah Winfrey, LeBron James, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and they say, well, look, you got people that are successful, but when it comes to the success of black people, whether they be celebrities, millionaires, billionaires, these people make up less than 1% of all of black people, or the population of black people. So it's not smart to use celebrities and things you see on television, successful black people, as an example that how black people are making excuses or they can do better, when the reality is that the wage gap between black and white virtually has not changed since the 1970s. And, things are not getting any better as far as opportunities are concerned. And so it's just nice to see when white people can actually be honest with what reality is, because many of them get upset if you even speak about anything going back to history. They don't want to hear it. They get upset. They say you're making excuses. You have a victim mentality. All of these things without actually looking at what is right in front of you, looking at all of the data, looking at the history, looking at reality, So what y'all think about that? He mentioned the GI Bill after the end of World War II. After the end of World War II, but just the soldiers coming home, white privilege was on display, with the Nazis being able to sit ahead of the black soldiers. That's a good point. It says, celebrities don't own their wealth. Let the talk against the system see where they are. Yeah. A celebrity, I said this, I think it was last week I said this, that you don't hear any celebrity. Y'all remember when with George Floyd, you had a lot of celebrities speak out with George Floyd, that publicly speak about it. I'm sorry, but I don't want to get it mixed up, but I can't remember what that particularly happened. Was it Mike Brown that happened with Colin Kaepernick, or was it Trayvon? I can't remember when, but since Colin Kaepernick, you haven't really heard any celebrities really speak out about nothing. And I was talking about, Robert Brooks, the brother that was beat to death in the correctional facility on camera, and he was beat, and then the next day he passed away. Well, you have not heard anything. And in my lifetime, that is probably the worst I've ever seen a black man done by law enforcement. Like, that's the worst. You know what I mean? That is the most diabolical. And I haven't heard no celebrity say anything. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm just not in a loop. But I haven't heard a celebrity say anything, and that's why I go back and tell y'all, I tell black people all the time, stop idolizing celebrities, because they're not black leaders. They're not going to say the things that need to be said. You're better off looking at a regular black person, a regular person in their community that works in their community, that does things that help their community. You're better off looking at them as a leader than looking at some celebrity on television as a leader, right? Because they're not going to say anything. In fact, with Donald Trump in office, anything racially inflammatory, anything that black people think could upset white folks, they are not going to say it. Not with Donald Trump in office. Niggas are scared straight right now. You know what I mean? So it's going to take regular, everyday people that are willing to lose life and limb, willing to lose jobs and willing to lose, and whatever the case may be, opportunities to speak the truth, to say what the truth is, and not be afraid of a backlash. Bulls fans, Black Rain said this. He said, because they are under the control of Satan and are rich slaves. Definitely. I agree with that, brother. Definitely. There's different forms of slavery, and we might not think that having millions of dollars in your bank account is considered a slave, but there's many forms of slavery. It's something called mental slavery. Karl Mosbach said, better off listening to the righteous men of the Lord in the ISUPK. You're better off listening to men. That's right, sister. That's right, Karl Mosbach. You're better off listening to men that have a moral stance, that have a moral foundation, that are not selling drugs, not doing drugs, that are not chasing hoes, not doing none of these things that the world promotes, that are sober-minded, that can see clearly of what is happening. A lot of times our people, they see what's happening and they're upset, but they're not upset enough to put down weed, stop smoking, say, I want to be sharp. I want to be sober. I want to do something and fight for my people. They're not sober enough to stop hating their brother, hating the brother across the street because y'all from a different part of town. A lot of our people are not, they don't want to drop the BS. They don't want to let go of the BS. So if you can't let go of the BS, I understand if you're not willing to stand for your people or even speak in public what's right. You know what I mean? Takes a lot of courage to get outside and speak to people. Takes a lot of courage, y'all. I salute any man or any brother or sister that does that. Takes a lot of courage. You got to dig deep and you got to really be passionate for what you believe in. Well, the brothers in the ISUPK, I can say they are passionate, and I am a part of that. I'm passionate about my people. I'm passionate about, what I see happen to my people. I'm passionate about what we do to one another, the evil we do to one another. We ain't gonna let that off the hook. We can't let that off the hook. We can't let it off the hook of what Black people do to one another. Can't let that off the hook either. You know what I'm saying? But we're so beat down that, okay, let's just say that happened with the brother, Robert Brooks. You'll have a Black person that say, yeah, I see that happen, but Black people got to stop shooting other Black people in Chicago. Nigga, what? I understand that. But at the same time, as Black people, we're not doing anything to any other race. We don't have a history of hurting people from a racial standpoint. Like Bulls fans said earlier, our history of doing different things are based in economics. Our history of doing crime, like robbing people and stealing, that's based in poverty. That's not based in the color of your skin, and I'm doing this to you because of the color of your skin, or I just don't like you. That's not based in that. So we don't have a history of that. I don't want to keep talking, y'all. I'll go on for days. Let me check the comments. Check the comments. Right now. Listen, y'all, we don't got a history of hurting another race based on them being another race. But Caucasian people do have a history of that. And so when we are upset for things we've seen, you look at that video of Robert Brooks and you see him surrounded by white men beating the hell out of him and nobody is doing anything. If you have any sense of your history as a Black person, that should inflame you. You should be upset. You should be the same. You should have the same level of anger that you had with George Floyd. That's you should not care about, oh, if I say something, I don't want to look like this. I don't want to look like that. They done come up with so many different kind of phrases. Oh, you race baiting. You race baiting. No, I care about my people and I'm upset. It's really clear and really simple with me. It ain't, I don't, I'm not trying to stir up nothing. I don't care to stir up nothing, but I am upset that my people are not stirred up. And what is it? There was a song that Lupe Fiasco had like early in his career. It was called "Dumb Down." It's like we're dumbed down. We're dumbed down with with the things that we consume as far as social media. It's to a point where we don't really care. Like we would rather, okay, instead of fighting for our people or speaking some truth, we would rather watch some of our people fight online. I'm keeping it 1,000. I'm keeping it 1,000,000 with you. Black people would rather watch a video and laugh and giggle at two niggas fighting instead of saying, man, this needs to stop. Let me repost this. Let me repost all of these missing sisters and little brothers. Let me share that. Instead, you're sharing a damn fight. You're sharing two black women fighting, two black people fighting. All down my timeline, I'm seeing missing black girls and boys, and I'm like, I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it. Get the word out. Average black person is sharing a fight. They're sharing a half-naked woman. That's what they're sharing. I was talking with somebody in the comments. It said, we are children. And that's what we are. We're some damn children. We act like children. You know what we say? We're like children. We say, you know what? The more important issues of the black community, I'll let somebody else deal with that. I'll let somebody else deal with that shit. And we dive into the foolishness. Oh, look at this fight. Look at that fight. Oh, that outfit is cute. It's not even an outfit. It's a few pieces of cloth. She's butt naked. But you won't share, a post about a missing girl, a post about a missing boy, a post about some knowledge. Oh, this will happen in history with your people. This inventor, you won't do that. We are dumbed down. Let me see. Whatever time Mr. Brooks was sentenced to or was going to be sentenced to, I don't think he was getting death. He definitely wasn't. He was halfway through his sentence. I think he had a 12-year sentence and he was in, he had already did 7 years. I haven't seen it, Black Rain. The movie Idiocracy. Maybe I need to see that. A lot of our people are underdeveloped and overexposed. We are exposed to too much nonsense and entertainment. I agree with that. That's deep right there, Black Dazzle. That's deep. That's deep. Also, it's a documentary about dumbing down. Okay. Yeah, we are dumbed down. Like we don't have a level of consciousness to understand how we hurt ourselves, how we hurt our children, the things that go inside of us, how they come out of us. Like we just don't have it. We don't have that level. We don't have it. You know what I mean? We are lost in the sauce. We are really a lost people, a lost sheep without a shepherd. That is really who we are as Black people. Got all the potential in the world. We have all of the potential, super potential, but that potential is only used in sports and entertainment. Well, I don't want to say that. That potential is only celebrated in sports and entertainment. Only celebrated in sports and entertainment. And let's just be real, the things we entertain ourselves with is garbage. It's garbage. Y'all in here rocking with me, go ahead and like the video. I see I got a few of y'all up in here. Go ahead and like the video. If I'm dropping something that you like, and you like that angle, that Black Authentic Truth angle, go ahead and smash that like button. That's right. Celebrate it and exploit it. Black Rain said, you got to see that movie. Just look up the trailer after this. It says dumbing down of people. You will understand. That's right. Hey, good looking out. The water for that. I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. So yeah, let me get to what I want to go. So this is an older video of a brother that was a teacher in Prince William County before integration. So this is about the unity that Black people had before integration.
Help raise the kids. Teachers were very.
Let me back it up, because it starts out by he's saying that everybody helped raise the kids.
Everyone helped raise the kids. Teachers were very highly respected people, and ministers played, and the church played a tremendous role in this. Now, that closeness, I believe, the racism of the times probably had something to do with it, but it was more, I think, of a survival thing, that we've got to train our children to get along in this world. And they could, if they started certain things, if they fight, they're going to have trouble. Now, they may meet physical violence, economic violence, or social violence. And they tried to prepare the children, I believe, to work to actually live in a white world.
You hear that? He said they tried to prepare the children to actually live in a white world. First off, he talks about how everyone helped in raising a child, and they were very close. And he talks about the fact that they were very close was because of, the time period of, racism and being separate and survival. Like that was that was when you talk about the best time, the best history in America with Black people, it was before integration, y'all. It was before integration. Black people built institutions, schools. You know them as HBCUs today. They haven't done that after integration. The fact that everybody cared for one another in raising the children, that should shows you how far away we are and how off we are today. We're really off today. We're really off.
I can recall, many saying, being told that, one of the attributes that you should have when you grow up is to be able to get along with white folks. Well, what about white folks getting along with me? Well,
right. He said one of the attributes you was told to have is you need to be able to get along with white folks. He said, well, what about white folks getting along with me? Because you know what? It don't really matter how good of a person I am and how, I'm a good human being and, I have good grades and all of those things. That is not going to matter when I get around one of these racist white folks. What about them, getting along with me? I can get along with anybody as a Black person. You know why? Because Black people just wanted to be accepted. Of course we could get along. We just wanted to be accepted. But what about them getting along with us? What about them looking at us, like Martin Luther King say, by the content of our character? When has that ever even happened? That shit ain't never happened. It wasn't happening back then, and it don't happen today. It wasn't happening before integration, and it don't happen today. You tell me if somebody judge you, a Black person, by the content of their character. You're already judged before you open your mouth. Someone is looking at you at the color of your skin. It's kind of hard to do it over a cell phone, because some Black people got a voice that might not sound Black. But when they see you, you're already judged. Somebody's already making an assessment and making an opinion about who you are. You don't have to, a lot of times you go for a job, you don't get a chance to show them how good of a Black person you are, how good of a human being you are. You don't even get to that point. They say, you know what, you don't meet all the requirements. We're sorry. You could, hit us back in about 6 to 9 months. Let me see. Bulls fan said, I ain't trying to be accepted, but I demand to be respected. Of course. And the thing about us with Black people, like, we really will go out our way to show how good of a Black person we are. That goes into the Black bourgeoisie, Black Black bougie people, middle class people. These people, I'm gonna talk about that at another time, but a lot of times Black people would like to separate themselves from the average Black person and be like, I'm different. Those niggas over there, I'm a black person. I'm totally different, Mr. White Man. I'm totally different. I move totally different. You see how good I speak? You see these degrees on my wall? You see all of these degrees? I'm different. But yeah, we need to, it's nothing wrong with wanting to be respected. And we go out and we treat people how we want to be treated. But let's be real, that type of energy is not reciprocated to us, as far as our hopes and dreams of success and wanting to fit in that world, but listen, like, if you are talented and no one can do what you can do, you got your spot carved out. But for the vast majority of Black people, being a good human being is just not enough. You got to go above and beyond, and you got to be extra extraordinary to stand out and be noticed and for them to look at you like, he has some value. She has some value to my company. We need her. They trade Negroes every day in the NBA. These multi-million-dollar people, they throw them around like it ain't nothing. It's a big, like, you think about the money that's going around. Think about the money that the people who are cutting the check, what they making. So it don't really, we all deserve respect. But my point is that before integration, our people, they stuck together. They had a mind of community. They had a mind that we're going to look out for everyone. And then now, after integration, our people are individuals. We no longer care about the greater good of our people. We're more focused on our personal gain and success, and that's most important. And I'll go into that also with the Black bourgeoisie. I keep messing up. Bourgeoisie, the Black bourgeoisie, these type of Black people, they look at themselves as different from the average Black person, and hang their livelihood on their successes and being able to spend money and to go on trips and live a different life than the average Black person and think that they're different. Well, our people didn't think that way. And somewhere along the lines of our people getting the opportunity from white people, from white America, getting the opportunity for higher education and more money and moving up north into the big cities, our people started to separate themselves and started to not be, not look at each other as the same and have this love that a lot of Black people from the South had. They had a love and an understanding amongst themselves that we have to raise our children in a way that they know how to navigate around white people, that they know how to live in this world of white people once they leave from the nest. I don't want to hold too long. Let me just keep going.
You could told easily, you work for them. You will work for them. You will, they will have a say so as to how well you make it. And they can even, eliminate you and will eliminate you if you, get too much out of line.
You hear that? How he talked about how you got to learn to work with them. They can give you opportunity, or they can take it away, or they can just eliminate you if you get too out of line, meaning you can come up missing. And so this is how they educated their people. They educated their kids in a way to understand we're not like them. We have to work with them. We have to do business with them and navigate through their world, but be aware of them. Be aware of how you talk and what you say around them, because you could lose an opportunity or you could come up missing.
It was that closeness there, and I think it's something blacks have lost, is that sense of community where the whole community was involved in the rearing of the children.
So this is something unheard of in this day and age. The whole community being involved in the rearing of a child. And me growing up, I got a little piece of it. I understood a little piece of it. Whereas, you growing up in the hood and, you acting up, you doing something you ain't supposed to be doing. And a neighbor or somebody sees you and yells at you and tells you to stop. They get on your head as though you are their child, but you know that they know your mom, they know your grandma. You already know that, you know what I'm saying? So that type of thing don't happen anymore. It's very rare to happen where you see somebody say something. Nowadays, people are afraid to say something to someone else's child. And a lot of you parents, I'm sidebarring, a lot of you parents, this is, you know what? I'm gonna leave that, because this is a whole nother story. This is a whole nother thing, and I'm gonna talk about it. But the point is that, like what the brother said, that we as a community, we really were involved in bringing each other up. We were not strangers to one another. We were not like, oh, nah, that's they kids. It was nothing like what it is today. And so I feel like if we were like that, and I think with the current administration, things could get really bad. You got the tariffs going on right now, with Donald Trump, Canada and Mexico, and, they're talking about inflation and all of that. And when things really get bad, or if a new disease is on the horizon and there's, people have to band together because of that, you will see that again. I think you will see Black people band together, because in a time of chaos, in a time of uncertainty, what people tend to do is they restrict themselves to their own race. You won't see everybody trying to mix and mingle in a melting pot. You will see people restrict themselves and cut other races off, particularly, Europeans. They're going to cut everybody off. They're going to be like, you can't cross this line. You can't come in this community. You got to go somewhere else, or we are going to gun you down. That's literally how it's going to be. And in a situation like that, that will force Black and brown people to start to love and be a community again, and be focused on the fact that, listen, we can't survive without one another. Now, what I was going to say about a lot of these parents, a lot of you parents, your children, can't nobody say nothing to your children. And what I mean is like, somebody corrects your child in public, they go tell you, coming back trying to fight them and argue about why you say something to my child. Somebody needs to say something to your badass child. Somebody needs to correct your badass child when you're not looking and when you're not around. Maybe it might save their life. The reason why this popped up in my head is because recently, and I don't like to put my personal business out like that, but when you got to go to the school for your child doing something out of order and talk to a teacher or talk to a principal, what I've noticed is this. I noticed that these teachers and these principals are very, very appreciative. They're appreciative damn near to the point of tears. And what I realize is this: they have to go through so much with you tired ass parents trying to, protect your child, your badass child. Y'all got to excuse my language. your bad child, they got to go through so much with you parents. They got to go, what did he do? Well, he ain't do all that. Well, why you put him on detention? Because the nigga is bad and you're not doing anything at home. Where is his father? Your daughter is bad. You're not doing anything at home. She needs some consequences at home. She coming to school beating up everybody, but you getting mad at the teacher. You getting mad at them for bringing you in there. They want to have a parent-teacher conference. They want to have an emergency conference with you over your child, and you angry at them instead of chastising your child. Many of y'all are like that. Like your child can't do no bad. Like your child is just some damn angel. Your child is a monster at school. Your child talks like a grown woman at school. Your son walks up on the teacher like a grown man at school. But the minute they call you, you cussing them out, threatening the teachers, like you gonna put hands on the teacher. That's why a lot of these teachers can't take it. They can't handle your type of child. And on top of it, you come in there with some attitude like your child is a saint. You need to grow up. You need to grow the hell up. That's what you need to do. You need to grow the hell up and realize that you are hurting your child. Like you acting like the teacher is bullying your child when your child is doing everything that the teacher is saying that they are doing. Why don't you take some time off? Or if you ain't doing anything, why don't you go into the class and sit in the class for an hour or two every day? Why don't you help the teachers out? You know, when I'm talking to these teachers, I see that they be so surprised. Like, you would do that? You would come in and sit? You would come in? They be surprised at this. I'm like, damn, like, I see what y'all been going through. I see what you go through with other parents. They don't have no care in the world about their children. And if they're called, they angry that you called them. They're angry that they got to come up to the school. They're not angry at their child. They're angry at you. Y'all got to grow up, man. Grow the hell up. Black Dazzle said, what you're saying is true. My husband is a dean. The parents don't want their children corrected, even when they're in the wrong. I knew that. Listen, Black Dazzle, I knew this from the reaction of the principals and the teachers when I say, I will come up here and I will sit in the school. I will do whatever I have to do. Really? Wow. Oh, thank you. Thank you. One teacher had tears in her eyes. I'm like, damn, y'all must go through hell with these parents. They couldn't believe that I thought that's what parents would do. They couldn't believe that I would do it. And then, and that's the thing, y'all be mad about what y'all, somebody bullied the teacher picking on on my kid. No, you're hurting your kid by thinking that they can't do any wrong. When my daughter was young, kids wanted to be friends, but I told those kids' parents the same way, don't let certain products in my house, your child is a product I may or may not let in my home. Listen, some of these kids speak like adults. Some of these children have mouths like dragons. I'm not lying. I'm not lying. And let me tell you, the way these kids, because like when we grew up, I'm sure we cussed, but the way these kids talk today, man, it's crazy. You would not believe the way these children talk today. And got the nerve. I'm not gonna let no child talk around me crazy. I'm gonna correct them. When I used to stand out there and wait for the bus with my kids, and there's this ridge where the boys they get up on and they're walking on it like you could fall off. I'm like, get down. Get down. Like I act like I'm everybody's daddy. And I wish somebody would. You know what I'm saying? Because I would embarrass them. And not saying like, I'm not putting my hands, I'm just telling, I'm protecting your child when you're not there. You know what I mean? I tell children, stop talking like that. I hear them cussing. I'm like, stop talking like that. Because in my dignity and my honor as a man, as a black man, I can't stand there and let some little kid talk, crazier than I would talk as an adult. You're not going to do that around me. I'm going to check you. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. Let me see what sister said. You said He said the parents that are least involved are the most combative. Yeah, I'm sure, because they want to smoke that damn blunt. And they mad they can't roll up a blunt when the school say, you know what, you need to come up. I'm sure. Because they can't do what they want to do when they want to do it. Now they have to go and invest some time in the behavior of their child. Oh, you mad, you upset. Think about me for dealing with your child all day and have to tell them, you know what they need to do? They need to bring back, what was that thing? The paddle. That's what they need. Like, come on, man. These children is out of line. Be Real Mind said, if the kid is out of control at school, it usually starts from home. The parent is a mess, so the child is doomed from the jump. I mean, I don't want to agree, but I have to agree. And that reminds me what I was going to say, like the way some of these children talk. You have to know that these are the conversations that they're hearing in the house. The mannerisms, like because they be so grown. And I'm like, come on now. Like, y'all have to care about your children. And I understand a lot of people had children when they were damn near children. So it's not clicking, it's not snapping. Nobody's there to tell you, listen, you got to change this now. Change it now. Change this now, because they're going to be locked in the next minute. They're going to be your height, and they're going to be running you up out of your own house. They're going to be running up on you and talking to you crazy. And then now you want to talk about, come get him. Come get him, because I'm about to kill him. Nah, you got to correct that right now. Come get him, because I'm finna kill him. Yeah, they need to bring back the paddle. Come get him. Nah, he got to go. Nah, she got to go. She too fast. You created her. I don't know. I seen a video with a father. Like, you got to go. You too fast. Bruh, you are her father. What are you allowing? You know what I'm saying? I once sat in class across from the principal office. The sub was late. When the staff reported I was in the room, the principal understood why the kids were cemetery quiet. Right. Like, that's like, nah. They want to get now they standing up to you toe to toe. Nigga taller than you, telling you he don't want to take out the trash. You do it. Like, who you, nigga, who you talking to? That's how it usually go though. But you got to nip that in the butt. Like, you got to get some order in your house. You got to get some order. And a lot of y'all a lot of y'all black parents, black and brown parents, a lot of y'all need to just grow up, because you was young when you became a parent, but you need to grow up and realize that you are hurting your child when you come into a school on defensive mode, not trying to hear anything and trying to fight for your child when they could be the little gremlin from hell and you don't even know. Anyway, I'm off of it, man. I'm off of it. Yeah, do some push-ups. Stand in the corner till your feet hurt. Do some push-ups. To your arms is jelly. Write these sentences. That's a good one. For that specific thing that they did, make them write a sentence. Let them write it about 20, 30 times. They'll get the message. Let them stand in that corner and look at the wall and stare at the wall for a while. They'll get that message. Take away that damn tablet. Yeah, that phone and that tablet that they don't even need. Take it away. Make them read a book and do a book report. Make them read a book. Do a book report or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Make them do that. Like, it was what Chester Higgins say on his quote when I interviewed him. He said, you walk into a house and all you hear is TV. I'm paraphrasing. All you hear is TV in the home. That it ain't no studying going on in that home. Me personally, I don't think that school is sufficient enough learning. Why don't you give them a little bit more when they off of school? Especially when they, got a bad attitude or they don't want to do something that you asked them to do. and they trying to buck up. Well, here's some sentences. I will not have an attitude for nothing. I will take out the trash when I'm supposed to. Yeah, do that. Yeah. I mean, this it's only going to help them. I mean, long term, the only byproduct is that they're going to be sharper in math. Be real mind said, if I did that to my father back in the day, he would have pulled out his gun and shot. Whoa, damn. Your pops was not playing. Be like one of those movies, like you say that to your dad, he turn around, and next thing you know, like a little dummy is flying out the window. Yeah, all right. Let me get to the next story. We're gonna wrap it up. All right. Where are we at? Joyce Van Hook said, what happened was the 60s, and it was downhill from then on. Before that, in St. Louis, it wasn't happening. Now the state is telling you how to raise your kids with a threat. I think you're about to say we need to bring that back, right? Or we need to do something. Yeah, it was downhill from the 60s. Downhill, like a lot of things were downhill for the families, for minority families after the 60s, after integration, which is, history. American history says was a great time for Black folks, but within the family structure, it was like downhill, with fathers not being in the home, women liberation movement, you had the gay movement, you had what else? What other movement? It was a lot of them. A lot of those movements, the free love movement, the hippie thing. You had all of that stuff influencing Black folks, and it took its toll on the family. And then you had those laws where you could not whoop a child anymore and all of that stuff. And I don't feel like you have to always whoop a child, or there's certain things that you need to send a clear message. So if your child is sticking a fork, let's say your child is sticking a fork in a socket, that deserves a clear message. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to unalive themselves. Something like that, where they're going to really cause harm to themselves or someone else. You need to send a clear message. But most things you should measure, because you don't want to be a tyrant in your house. You should measure things that they do and give them something that's equal punishment. Free love and drugs. Yeah, free loves and drugs movement. Bulls fan said, she said this, reminds me, my dad was a whole grown married man fresh out of the army, and my grandma beat his, with that thing on the stove, and you put the pot, whoa. And you know what? I remember one time I had to go get a switch. And a lot of time, this was when I was with my grandma. I remember having to go outside and get that switch. And that's that, and because it was one time, I can remember the tree, I can remember the way the branch was. And I can't even remember what I did, but I know I did something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, in this day and age though, like y'all can't be like that. Y'all can't be like bucking up on the teachers and administrators and feeling like they picking on your child when your child is a ghoul and a goblin. You know what I'm saying? Your child is the monster from the Black Lagoon at school. At home, they probably is fine, but when they go to school, they're the monster from the Black Lagoon, and you mad at them for calling you and saying that y'all need to talk. And you trying to go off on them and threaten them and all of that crap, man. You need to take responsibility and get on your child and not on them teachers and them school administrators. All right. So let me get what is this next one? Oh, Donald Trump. So let me get this video real quick, put this video up, and then this is the last one, and we'll be up out of here. All right. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me.
Month, the Trump administration has ordered a pause on activities related to several observances, including Black History Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, and Juneteenth. It's to comply with President Trump's order to ban diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at federal agencies.
There we go again. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, I've seen stories with Black people saying like, oh, Trump is trying to take away and cancel Black History Month. And basically they're putting a pause on these celebrations because, once again, what I said earlier, the money that is going for training and things like that in DEI, it's funneled through different agencies and whatnot, and for different reasons. And this is just another part of it. But I want to go into something more serious, because this is not just about Black History Month. It's about Mexican History Month. It's another one, the Holocaust Remembrance Day. There's a lot of things that this is affecting, but specifically, I want to talk about Black History Month. I'm going to play a little bit more of this video.
Fort Worth's Dr. Opal Lee led the push to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Candace Sweat sat down with the grandmother of Juneteenth.
I wrote him a letter.
Dr. Opal Lee says she'd like to meet President Trump, have a conversation, and ask him directly.
What is his reason? I just need to know why. And if I can't talk him into understanding how much these mean to us, and see if he can't rescind that order.
She's aware of the executive order signed by the president days ago, aimed at ending what the administration has called, quote, radical and wasteful government DEI programs. Agencies rushed to comply, with the Defense Intelligence Agency pausing events for 11 observances, among them Black History Month, Women's History Month, and National Hispanic Heritage Month. Juneteenth is also listed, but with an asterisk, saying federal holidays will not be paused. Lee's granddaughter, Dion Sims, says the move is concerning, but serves as motivation.
We're going to have to work to keep the status quo, just to stay where we are and get out our oars and row against the current, against the tide.
Opal Lee sent a letter of her own to the White House, challenging the president to leave a legacy that uplifts the country. Meanwhile, they're inviting others to join them during the annual Juneteenth march, already in the works.
If you guys can't celebrate all your other cultures, we invite you to find yourself in the Juneteenth story.
Dr. Opal Lee says what she's done is for the benefit of everyone and wants to keep it that way.
Everybody needs to be able to celebrate accomplishments.
In Fort Worth, Candace Sweat, NBC5.
Yeah, like the sister said, someone got to explain to her that number 47 does not care about none of that. United States doesn't care. And for a long time, people have said, you hear this, you've heard this before. They say, well, why we only have a Black History Month? Why isn't it White History Month? You've heard proponents against it say that. Now, when it comes to Black History Month was started by Carter G. Woodson. It was Negro History Week. And it was really basically for Black people to remember the accomplishments of the past and remember the pioneers and remember the inventions and things like that Black people have contributed to American society. It eventually became Black History Month. Now, before I go in, what's good, young man, Kev? It's the shortest month anyway, right? Shortest month anyway. Black Rain said, Most High putting a stop to all this nonsense. Right. I mean, this is the thing, y'all. And I want Black people that, look forward to celebrating Black History Month. I know we grew up, every damn city has you either have a Martin Luther King Boulevard or you have a Martin Luther King middle school or high school in every city where it's Black people. And we had a Black History Parade and what else? You have all these, all these events Black History Expo, Black History this, and then during Juneteenth also. So it's like any other thing that we grew up and we celebrated. In school, they have the same traditions in school as far as talking about the accomplishments of Black people, Harriet Tubman, MLK, Crispus Attucks, W.E.B. Du Bois. It just goes on and on with the same thing. And one of the reasons why I even started, one of my aims when I started Black Authentic Truth, and it has morphed into what it is right now. What I'm doing right now was never on the table as far as this like live vlogging. But one of the things is I started off by talking about Black history, but I wanted to talk about historical figures and people that are not mainstream, that you don't hear about on Black History Month. Black History Month always had the same people every month that they talk about. There's certain people you've never heard of. You never heard their story. You never will, because there's certain Black people in history that the United States government really only focuses on. Like, they're not focusing on a Malcolm X. They're not focusing on a Nat Turner. They're not focusing on Isaac Woodard. They're not focusing on the Muse brothers. They're not focusing. I can go on and on about people that last week, Reese Taylor. Y'all remember that? They're not focusing on the stories of, all Black people. It's only a certain Black people that they like, that are good representatives for Black culture to white people, right? So Black history is 365 days of the year. That's when you should be celebrating it. It's like this month, like the brother said, the month is the shortest month of the year. I don't know. That's why they gave Black History to that month, but February is the shortest in the year. Like, we don't need America to help us celebrate our pioneers and our ancestors. That should weigh on us. That should be on us. That should be something that we do, because it's our people. It shouldn't be something where we're sitting there like, oh, Master done took away Black History Month. What we gonna do? Oh, what we gonna do? I don't know what I'm gonna do if they put Donald Trump put a pause to Black History Month. What I'm gonna do? Man, I'm in the books. I'm into my history 365 days of the year. Black History Month doesn't even mean anything to me. It means something to the people that run companies and in the government and all that, but it don't mean nothing to me as a Black man. I could care less about the month. I will utilize it because I know that there's going to be events and celebrations and all that to go to mix and mingle and get the perspective of different Black people. But 365 days out of the year is when I'm thinking about my history, about my Black authentic experience in America. And that's how we all should look at it. We shouldn't look at it like, oh, this is a thing. Who cares? Who cares if Donald Trump is stopping funding for Black History Month? America is built off of Black history. You can't get rid of Black history. You can't put a pause or a bank freeze on Black history. America is sitting on the foundation of Black history. That's why it is so great. That is why America became the world superpower, because of Black history. So who gives a damn if they pause it or they say it don't exist anymore, or they say why only Black people get a month? Who cares? Just know that your people are ingrained in the foundation of this place. And not just that, because this place is just the tip of the iceberg. Your people have a rich history that spans to the origins of time. Your people are the people that come from Adam. Your people are the people that is the same as Moses. Your people are the same as King David. You get what I'm saying? Your people have developed and have innovated so many things to make the world what it is today. It can't even be recorded. So who cares? Donald Trump, the orange man with the cat hair toupee, wants to put a pause on Black History Month. Boo-hoo. Who cares? Just know that they don't even exist without Black people. They don't even have America without Black people. They don't even win wars without the existence of Black people. And that's what it is. Black, let me go up a little bit. Bulls fan said, if he and they can't make $1 off it, they don't give two hot turds about it. They don't care about it. They don't care. You know why they don't care? Like what Bulls fan is saying is so real because they didn't care about marijuana. Remember, they don't care about marijuana. They put Black people in the jail cell, Black people doing, long sentences. And then they saw that they can make money off of it. So they said, we're going to legalize it now. So if they can make money off of it, that's when they care. Until then, they could care less. Black History Month highlighted the acceptable, palatable Black people. Exactly. Because no one knows about Nat Turner, right? We're so-called Black every month and every year. True. Let me see. Black History Month was observed in the shortest month to curb any time for focus and coldest month to deter outdoor celebrations. Oh, that you know what? You got a point right there. And I would say, okay, I would say that's true. But see, out here in California, you could still have it, but the days are short right now. So it can it's dark right now. It gets dark at 5 right now. So I think you own to something right there with that, Bulls fan. Just because Massa said the government won't celebrate us, don't mean local level can't give him the finger about right. That's what I'm saying. You can do our own thing. America need Black, Mexican, and they, without us, they wouldn't have clothes, fruit, or herb. Right. When we stop caring about these false celebrations, then our people will become more aware of their BS. Damn right, Kev. That's right. And all of y'all said great things. This is the point. The point is that, listen, we have a history that we can celebrate on our own. We don't need nobody to tell us to celebrate anything. And when they say things like this, like, well, what about why it's no White History Month? Well, we get to hear about your history 365 days of the year. I don't think anybody actually, I can't remember in history if anybody actually fought for it to be a month, as far as Black History Month. But what I do know is you have always had Black people celebrate the pioneers of the past. And it ain't nothing that the government can say, that anyone can say that will make me stop celebrating my people and talking about their accomplishments. You can't do it. You can't deter me. You could put me in a jail cell, solitary confinement. I'm still going to search things out if there's a library. And I'm still going to think about the things that Black people have done. And let me hip you to this. The greatest people to ever, or should I say the greatest man to ever walk the earth, if you believe in the Bible, was a Black man. So these people are always trying to find a way to put out our flame. But they ain't gonna be able to put out the flame. Because the fire that is in Black people, that fire can't be extinguished. It's been good rocking with y'all tonight, man. it's been good rocking with y'all. I appreciate everybody that's been rocking with me. I got a lot of more stories I want to go into, and maybe I'll do those maybe Wednesday or Thursday, but we're going to rock it out. Just make sure y'all tap in whenever I'm live. Hit that notification so you'll be notified whenever I go live. All right. With that, y'all, I hope y'all have a nice evening. It's Sunday. I know it's late if you're on the East Coast. On the West Coast, it's 6 p.m. I'm about to get it in. Got some things I got to do. Might go to the gym, but I hope y'all have a good evening. All right. With that, peace. Keep it black and authentic.